Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at what kind of self-care you need right now. This is something that came to me a while ago, and I've just been waiting for the perfect cloudy day to film it. I've got my own robe on here today. I've also got a latte that I just made. We've got a nice candle burning, and we're going to be figuring that out together. So I'm really excited. If you are new to my channel, hello, my name is Chloe. I am a student of psychology, and I love to blend spirituality and psychology as I read tarot cards and also sometimes discuss topics on the channel that revolve around those two concepts. I really enjoy bridging the gap basically between the mystical and logic. That's kind of what I'm about on this channel. So if you enjoyed that, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, as many of you that watch my pick of cards are not subscribed according to my analytics. So please be sure that you make sure you hit that. It really helps my channel out. And if you're new to pick a cards, today we're not doing candles because we've got just a relaxing vibe going today. We're doing it a little different. So if you're new, basically this is pile 1, this is 2, and this is 3. I have time stamped down below. Just use your intuition on this one, on which one to choose, which one you think is really calling to you. And I'm not going to go through all the ins and the outs of how to choose today, mostly because I feel like when we're really in tune with ourselves and giving ourselves that love and self-care, a lot of it is about self-trust. So just trust yourself today. If you feel called to more than one pile, that's okay. You're welcome to watch all 3. Some people do that and choose at the end. Some people pick 2 piles because they feel called to them. And some people it's just 1. So I'm going to go ahead and be quiet and give you some time to meditate with the cards, and then we'll get into it. All right, pile number 1. So we're going to start with these 4 cards. I know that they are very hard to see, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to remedy that because this is a brand new deck for me, and the deck was kind of expensive. I'm not going to lie about it. And I was very disheartened to see that they're just so hard to see on camera no matter what I do. And I don't really want to bring my ring light in here because I feel like the ring lights, it makes it like too much of a glare on some of the cards. So I'm going to do my best to show these 4 cards to you. We have other cards here today too, but I'm going to do my best to like shine them in the light so you can kind of see them. But you got the Hermit. So we'll go ahead and put that up here. You got the 9 of Swords. And again, I'm so sorry if these are hard to see. You got this one in particular, Judgment. It's just like a really dark card. They're really pretty though, which is so unfortunate. And we also got the 6 of Wands, which is also really hard to see. Okay, so we got those 4. Like I said, don't worry though. We have other cards here today that are much brighter than these ones. But what this says to me, what your guides want you to know in terms of self-care is, especially with a 9 of Swords. The 9 of Swords is a card that whenever it comes up, even for myself, it is a card that usually is just very anxiety inducing, or it's like prone to worry. Maybe you're prone to worry about your life, about your achievements, about whatever is going on in your life right now. And maybe that's why you felt drawn to this pick a card, is because you're feeling some type of way and you're looking for more calm in your life. And with the Nine of Swords, something that I will ask, and this is honestly, this can become a very touchy subject. And I have even a podcast episode on my old podcast that I used to run with my in real life twin flame. I don't remember what the episode's called, but if I can hunt it down, I will link it down below for you. But there was a whole episode we did on this where we talked about how, like, basically the body really does tell us when something's going on. And it's not in, like, the reason it's so touchy is it can come across as we're blaming people for their own feelings. We're blaming people for their own trauma. We're victim blaming. And that's not ever the angle that we're coming from. And I say we because I know that I'm not the only person that speaks on these things. Even from like a depth psychology standpoint, that's something that is really taught is, you know, pay attention to the signs and synchronicities of your body. Pay attention to where you're feeling pain or anguish or anxiety, and take that worry, that upset, and ask yourself what it's trying to teach you. Because even in books like The Body Keeps the Score, I haven't read that book to completion, but I think it's a really fantastic book that highlights that talks about how the body, when we're feeling a lot of upset, a lot of worry, a lot of maybe even self-judgment, when we're feeling that, ask yourself why it's coming up. It's an opportunity for you to tune into that. And it might take some time if you're new to trying to listen to what your body is trying to tell you. If that's something you've never even thought to do before, when something like that happens, it can be more difficult to hear what is happening, if that makes sense. It takes practice. And I'm not the person with every single answer. I will be the first person to tell you that. But I can tell you from my own experience with dealing with generalized anxiety as well as social anxiety. Now, again, just take this as a personal account. I am not a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Like, please don't ever substitute the things that I say for actual medical advice. Go see a professional. But from my own experience, human to human, take this for what it is. It took me like probably the better part of a couple of years to really start to see an improvement there, to start to observe my thoughts, to start to meditate and get into it more. And I know every spiritual person on the planet is like, oh my God, you just need to meditate and everything will be fixed. And no, it's not really like that. It doesn't mean that A, you are not inherently broken, and B, it doesn't mean that everything will be magically fixed, but it does give you the ability to pay attention to why this is coming up. What is uncomfortable? How can you dive more into the discomfort to start to work on it? Or this is honestly, to me, what we can almost conclude into as shadow work. As, you know, a lot of people ask, like, what is shadow work? How do I do it? And there are so many different ways to approach this. But when we feel something constantly coming up, like maybe we're confronted by a friend or a family member, and it makes our body have physical reactions, like we get shaky or we get shortness of breath or something doesn't feel right. This is a sign from the body that something needs to be worked on. There's like, your body is honestly a really magical thing when you think of it that way. If you can get yourself to reframe what is happening. I know for myself, I used to struggle so bad with social anxiety. And anytime, especially with family or in some friendships, my body would start shaking after an interaction, even if it was something so small. Nothing like big was happening. Nobody was yelling or anything. I would get really shaky. And it wasn't until 2020, I'm 29 years old, that has started to dissipate as I've kind of worked on myself. And I feel like with that Nine of Swords, this can be a lot of that energy that, like, I don't know what to do. It's keeping you up at night. You're feeling very worried about things. And this, try if you're able to. And like, obviously, if you're able to, I would always encourage going and seeking therapy. I understand that not everybody has access to that resource, but if you have access to the resource, I'm always going to encourage it. I think having a therapist, even when you feel like nothing is wrong, is a great thing to do and have in like on your side, basically. But with that Nine of Swords, that to me really can bring that on. It's like we're constantly reliving experiences in our head that maybe aren't even currently playing out, but we're plaguing our body with those thoughts. And the Hermit card really says, get in touch with that. The Hermit says, break away on your own, get in touch with that, get in touch with yourself. Maybe stop answering the phone for a little bit, stop trying to talk out your process with everybody else, and just get really clear on how you feel and try to figure out why you're feeling a certain way. And like I said, that I would also encourage, like, excuse me, if it's not safe for you to do this on your own, I'm always going to encourage you to go forth and seek somebody that can be there with you. You know, I never want you to hurt yourself in the process either. So we also have Judgment, which I feel like this card is really coming out as a lot of self-judgment. Judgment also can be that we have a big message and something that we want to say and something that we're here to do. And like, you will have that capability, but first you kind of have to work through you. You have to work on what is going on here with you first. And this also can get into like, you know, maybe you use substance. I'm not going to get too heavily into that. Maybe you use substance, or like even like TV or food or talking to other people can be forms of avoiding listening to yourself. I feel like there's just this big sense of avoidance. And then with the Six of Wands reversed, this to me says that maybe at one time you didn't get recognition for something that you tried to do. And this can be really early on, like maybe even as a child. There might be some inner child work to be done here. And I say that because oftentimes we, you know, as kids, we make things for our parents or our caregivers, and maybe the parent had a long, terrible day and they didn't acknowledge what we created for them with like all of our love that we had as a child. And that can be very traumatizing. That can be something that really sticks with us. Now, that's just one example of non-recognition. This could have happened later in life as well. Those things stick with us though, and they can wreak havoc on the body because basically what has happened is, and I've talked about this in past readings a little bit, is if we didn't have the tools to understand what was happening, which often as children we don't, this can cause a form of trauma. And obviously there's big T trauma, little t trauma. Big T trauma is like those big catastrophic events. Little t trauma is like the stuff that you wouldn't even consider it to be trauma, maybe, because we haven't redefined that in the psychology industry quite yet, but I believe we're getting there. We have little t trauma, which is the stuff that you wouldn't even think would cause that, but it can, because we didn't have the thought processes to work through what we were experiencing, because maybe we were too little and didn't have the emotional regulation. So I do feel like with these cards, that's really what I'm getting a lot of, is there's definitely some inner shadow work to be done. Maybe you've been plagued with a lot of thoughts that really feel hurtful or damaging to you. And like I said, if you feel like it's not safe for you to dive into yourself alone, please, please, please reach out for help. I will absolutely leave Psychology Today down below. I really like their website for finding therapists, and I want to say BetterHelp. I'm hoping that we can get them to sponsor the channel eventually, but I've heard a lot of good things about BetterHelp, which is like online therapy. So we also have for you Dead End and the Vow. So with Dead End and the Vow, the dead end is like you are being forced to stop and look at yourself. You are being forced into a stop moment. You want to keep continuing down a path, but you maybe have already realized that you need to slow down, because you're being stopped on purpose. You're being put on pause on purpose. And the vow is about basically the ideology that we live our life by. So if there's like something you said you were going to do, or you really stand for, there's maybe some kind of an integrity that you stand for, but it needs reevaluation or changing, that's part of the reason why you're being stopped. I also feel like the Nine of Swords can really stop us on our path, and the Hermit also can stop us and put us on a forced pause. So I feel like you're being paused for a reason to kind of reevaluate who you are. And we also have for you the Outlaw. Love these cards. Look at this. They're so pretty. They have like a gold foiling. They're from the same company that does these ones. So we have the Outlaw. just going to put that down here, try to make it fit as best as I can. And we have the Explorer. So with these two cards, let me actually show that one to you too, because they're just so beautiful. So we also have the Explorer. And I feel like in life for you, in terms of self-care, you're really being asked to go strongly against the grain. The Outlaw and the Explorer say, like, maybe you've come from a family line where they do things a certain way. From my own experience, I was raised Mormon and I'm not Mormon now. Excuse me, that was a huge going against the grain for me growing up. I was like the only kid in my family that was like very devout Mormon out of 7. And so going against that grain as an adult was excruciating. I was, honestly, if we talk about like the realm of different kinds of children, I was really put into a place of like the golden child. If any of you know about this, like I would love to do an episode eventually on the podcast about this, but talking about like the different kinds of children and family dynamics with narcissists. But I was definitely put into a golden child position growing up. And eventually I popped my own balloon and I was like, wait, I don't want to live this way. And it wreaked havoc on at least the relationship with one of my caregivers. And to this day, it's like not the same. So going against the grain, I feel like that can be in anything. That can be in a job. Maybe you want to do things differently. That can be in an industry. Maybe you have something really powerful and amazing to bring to the table. That can be even just being like, the Outlaw is kind of exciting, but something to remember about it is like, don't just go against the grain for going against the grain's sake because you want to be unique and different. Like if you feel the call to be unique and different, obviously follow that path. I would never tell you not to, but in terms of like being unique and different, don't just like not agree with people, even though you do secretly agree because you want to be different. Like basically don't cut off your nose to spite your own face is kind of the warning with the Outlaw. But the Explorer, this is all about like seeing with your own eyes, feeling things with your own heart and getting out there into the world and just exploring more. I also feel like in terms of self-care, this is a big indication of going on a hike because we have the Explorer and then we have like mountains, there's boots, there's plants. I feel like you're being asked maybe to go out and to reconnect with nature a little bit right now if you're able to. Now, granted, I understand that it's kind of cold in some places of the world right now and maybe we can't connect as much as we would like to, but just know that that is there for you. There is this like go out and reconnect energy that I'm picking up on. So even if it's like buying a plant, I think that would be really helpful. Then we also have for you Sync with the Moon, Be Still, and Create Art. So this is beautiful. With Sync with the Moon, I'm always going to recommend this book to anybody who comes to my channel because it was so helpful for me. Definitely check out the book Moonology by Yasmin Boland. It really helped me understand the patterns of the moon and astrology. Now, it didn't give me the full scope of astrology, but it was definitely like an added bonus to the knowledge I already had. And I feel like it's kind of like foolproof. Like if you want to learn more about like working with the cycles of the moon for yourself personally, that book really does have all the information you would need. So definitely check that out. You're being called to on a soul level to resync your energy with the moon. Be Still. I feel like, again, this kind of goes in with the Hermit and the Dead End card. You, again, are being forced to be still. So really take that in. Allow yourself to be still. I feel like I myself struggle with this same thing where I get the most work done on myself when I am actually still and alone. And I constantly will pull in outside stimuli, whether that is like in TV, in a video game, in reading my tarot cards can even be a distraction sometimes. And then my tarot cards read me for the filth and they're like, girl, shut it up and go do something with yourself. So they do that though. They're sassy sometimes. But being still, I mean, we have this woman also depicted on a yoga mat. So this might be a good call to get into some really slow flow yoga or into some kind of meditation. Now we also have Create Art. And in creating art, this can be anything. Don't feel like it has to be painting. I know in this image we have painting being shown, but it does not have to be painting. It can be a myriad of things. Painting, watercolor, acrylic, gouache, those are like different kinds of painting tools. You can do charcoal, pastels. Maybe you want to get into just writing or just drawing or tea. Like you can create art with tea, believe it or not, real thing. Because the teas are different colors and it's kind of works a lot like watercolor. So there are so many ways that you can create art. So definitely take a look into that. You're being asked to tap in. And honestly, a good practice when it comes to kind of feeling into yourself and rediscovering what you stand for, it's good to like paint how you're feeling. Ask yourself, like, if you could personify the emotions that you're feeling, how would you paint them? What would they look like? That's like a really good exercise. Now, we also have just a few final words for you in terms of self-care. We have discover. Look at the early dewdrops before they disappear with the morning sun. So we have discover and explorer coming out. That's beautiful. This, again, is about reconnecting with nature. We have change. As with the falling leaves, embrace change. So I feel like whatever this self-care is that you're being asked to do on yourself, it's going to create really big change within you. This is something that as you continue to practice it, you're going to feel changed. You're going to feel different. And then with serenity, value quiet days with only the rustling leaves breaking the silence. So again, this is about being still, being with yourself, letting yourself be in the dead end space, letting yourself go into full hermit mode, and allowing yourself to redefine who you want to be in this lifetime. So really beautiful energy in terms of self-care. I feel like you are being tasked with, like, obviously remember that life is a consistent journey. You're not going to figure it all out in one day, but I do believe that you can make a lot of good headway, like just listening to yourself and your own intuition. And you know, this is like a big defining moment for you when you start to tune into yourself. So I wish you nothing but the best on your path. Please, please, please do not forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor. And if you would like to and you feel called to do so, I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. I do accept tips for my readings, but it is never an expectation from you. And please do not forget to hit subscribe. I put out at least one new pick a card every week, sometimes two. We also do podcast episodes where we talk about spirituality and psychology. So please, please, please definitely check out everything down below as well. And please do not forget, when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye. All right, pile number 2. So I apologize, just like with pile number 1. These are new cards that I got. I feel like I kind of made them appear a little bit better by changing some camera settings. But they are kind of hard to see. That's why we're doing a white background today instead of a black one. I don't know if I'm going to continue to read with these cards, which is really unfortunate because the deck was kind of expensive, but I really do like them. They're so pretty. So I'm going to try to show them to you as the first 4 cards that we lay down, kind of like this first. So hopefully you can actually see the imagery. So let's go ahead and talk about that self-care. So first and foremost, we have the Death card reversed, which looks like this. We have the 5 of Coins reversed. Looks like that. We have the 3 of Cups. And then we also have the 4 of Coins reversed. Okay. So in terms of the self-care that you need right now, what Spirit is really saying to me is, I feel like you've been doing a lot of self-transformation, which is kind of funny because I feel like pile number 1 was all about self-transformation and diving in, where this pile, I feel like it's actually kind of the opposite. You've been doing so much diving into yourself and who you are and what you stand for, and that, like, Spirit is saying maybe take a break from the self-work. And I know that that might sound literally insane because, we always want to be better than we were yesterday, or at least if you're somebody that's geared towards like a growth mindset, we always want to be improving upon who we are. But I feel like Spirit is saying that you actually need to take a break from that for a little bit and just have fun again in life, especially with people that love and want to support you, because the Five of Coins reversed is a lot about finding sanctuary in other people, finding sanctuary with just finding like life's riches with others. And it can also be that like abundance is coming towards you as well. And like maybe this is like a good sign to spend some money on yourself if you've been like really afraid to do that, especially with a reversed Four of Coins coming out too. This is like, stop being so selfish, and not selfish, or I guess you could say start being more selfish, depending on how you look at it, because it's about taking better care of yourself, and not just like, normally even the Four of Coins is like, to me, let me get a drink of this coffee. My throat is, I'm okay. Sorry, I just had a little tickle in my throat. But the Four of Coins normally is like the image to me of like Smaug from Lord of the Rings, or I want to say The Hobbit, actually. Smaug sitting on like all of Smaug's treasure, right? And so when it's reversed, this is like, no, like spend a little bit more, give more of your time to other people. Stop keeping yourself so locked away and your riches so locked away. So this can be very literal in terms of money, or this can be stop keeping yourself locked away. Maybe you have and this doesn't mean like literally physically, because also I understand we are in the middle of that thing that I can't say because YouTube loves to demonetize it if you say it. But, we're in the middle of the whole global thing, and maybe you are having to be more locked in. So that being said, like, just know that it can be virtual as well. It doesn't mean that you have to go out there and meet like all these people. But it's saying like, don't keep yourself so locked away, because the Three of Cups is all about bonding with other people in your life and having a rich, beautiful connection, and having emotional support from people that you trust, and giving emotional support to people that trust you. It's having these like very beautiful, very powerful, they don't have to be female friends, but it's like, to me, a very divine feminine connection. So everybody has divine feminine and divine masculine energy within them. And I feel like these are friendships that would be, or even family members too, that would be very rooted in the divine feminine, very rooted in the, emotional connection, very rooted in the that loving, supportive, nurturing energy. And just really making the space for yourself to be a part of other, if that makes sense. And like I said, this could also deal in finances too. There's this maybe you've been sitting on some money, you haven't been spending any money on yourself. And it's okay to do so. Like normally this Five of Coins is like dropping all your money on the floor and it's just like scattering to the wind. But in this instance, that money is all coming right towards your hands. So it's like, you don't really need to worry about spending right now because more money is going to be like continuously abundantly flowing towards you. So in terms of self-care, you've actually done a lot. And now is the time to kind of share of your richness, both in personality and in physical, like actual money, actual tangible items. Like, don't be afraid to share. So we also have for you Eros, and we have for you the Mirror. And Eros and the Mirror to me really speak about, well, Eros deals with like, how best put this in the line of self-care. I feel like many of you look in the mirror and you don't really like what you see, because we have the Mirror and then Eros is like eroticism. Eros is like a very sensual card. And this is basically saying in terms of self-care, like be sexy for yourself and not for anybody else necessarily. And I know that this isn't easy. We come from, a lot of us, a society that has perpetuated beliefs that like none of us are beautiful because we don't all look like Victoria's Secret models. And I'm not even fully there myself, but I definitely would say that I've come a really long way in developing that and being able to look in the mirror and not be like disappointed with what's there, and I feel like that's really what you're being asked to do with this is get in touch with your sensuality. I feel like your sacral chakra might be really, really, really wounded. Like you don't feel sexy or desirable, or you don't really feel good about how you are looking to yourself. Like it doesn't even necessarily have anything to do with other. It's how you are viewing your own reflection. And I'm sorry if you can hear that. There's a cop car. I live pretty close to a police station, so that happens sometimes. I apologize. I also think that the outside world sometimes will give us signs and synchronicities, and cop cars, to me, they often are about slowing down. It's like when you see or hear that, slow down. So I feel like this might be a good indication to really slow down with yourself, take the extra few moments in the morning to really look at your face, look at your body, look at this beautiful vessel that has carried you through all of your life so far, and really try to appreciate it for what it has housed, what it has homed for you, the person that you are, and everything. Like your legs have carried you through everything. Your mind, your heart, your soul, all of it has carried you through. And whatever you think is desirable, no matter what that looks like, don't let anybody shame you for your opinion of how you could be more desirable for yourself. But do something that connects you with that. If it's lingerie, buy yourself some lingerie. If it's a certain pair of underwear, buy yourself the pair of underwear, especially because we've got that whole money thing going on. Buy yourself some new makeup if that makes you feel beautiful. I am never that person that's like, no, you have to wear makeup because you're ugly. No, wear makeup because it makes you feel empowered and feel good. Whatever that looks like for you, this is kind of a call to action for self-love of how can you make yourself feel more desirable to yourself when you look at your own reflection. And if you're already there, how can you add to it? How can you be even more fierce? So we also have for you the card of compassion. I'm going to try to get this in frame. Actually, let me show it to you. These cards are so pretty. These cards are made by the same people that make these ones up here. I always link the cards down below. So we have compassion. And then we also have the Magi. And I think I might actually pull the book on this Magi card because this is a new deck to me, so I'm also kind of learning it as we go along. And I just dropped a bunch of your cards. Oh no. Just gather those. Shoot. I only see we lost one in transit. There was supposed to be a third one here and I lost it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're going to actually pull the book on this Magi card. I always think that's so funny when you're listening to somebody read cards and like something crazy happens and it just like, I don't know, it's almost like you forget that you're listening to like a real person sitting here reading tarot cards. It kind of like pops that bubble, if that makes sense. Okay, the Magi. I'm looking for it. This book is kind of hard to, I feel like, find. I was like, I'm in the right book, right? Yeah. Just take a moment to take a few deep breaths. I feel like this is a good opportunity to just pause. The Creator, the Explorer, the Magi. Here we go. Okay, the Magi indicates a period where you need to look deeper. It asks you to examine what you think you know and then keep going. Throughout our lives, we build an infrastructure of beliefs that allow us to navigate life, but so often the system is built on top of shaky foundation and out of weak materials. In other words, it's time to question what you have never noticed. What beliefs inform your decisions, passions, and ambitions? The Magi is a seer of illusion, and in turn, they are able to cut through the fog and get to work. The Magi may see the world similar in a mirrored funhouse. Oh, what? we got the mirror too, so that's funny. They see the core of each experience and are able to acknowledge how many different realities exist in a single moment. Being able to see where many realities are is a gift. It teaches us to be less attached to a single road, but instead we see where all the roads meet. If we are courageous enough to see and be open to our life unfolding along with any of the various roads, we invite in a magic that few get to experience. Even a balanced magi can frustrate people. They have some trickster energy in them that they see the bigger picture and may know the answer, but they will present the information to you in a way that spins your head. They are gifted with words, and eventually what they say can have multiple meanings. And everything they say can have multiple meanings. When a magi is unbalanced, they can be very manipulative and self-seeking. They may talk down to others as they believe themselves to be greater and more knowledgeable, rather than present information meant to challenge others in the expectation that it will ultimately be empowering. The unbalanced magi will present information in a way that is meant to make the other person feel small. In fact, they may enjoy the fact that others don't understand. So, ultimately, because this is here next to the mirror with us, I feel like this is about you being able to see the different ways that your life could be improved upon. But again, since we're not really focusing on that deep inner self work, I feel like you might be that person to your friendship circles who brings that energy in, and just really keeping it in check and making sure that you are being a friend and you're being somebody that other people want to spend time around and can rely on, but you're not being like a trickster and someone that thinks that they know better. I think ultimately, even on our own spiritual paths, everybody can sometimes fall into that. Everybody can fall into getting a spiritual ego and thinking that they know better than others. And it's honestly better to really let that go and just try to help people where we can and just live your life in a way that is suiting to you. And with compassion, I feel like this is a lot about giving yourself that level of compassion and giving your friendship circles that compassion, that beautiful, compassionate, when you have compassion for someone or something, it shows. You can tell when somebody has a compassionate heart that really wants to care, that wants to give love, and not even in a way that they think they need to receive it back, but just giving without that. So we also have for you a rest, energy work, and build strength. So this is really interesting. So with energy work, we kind of already talked about the sacral chakra, which is the orange one. In this image, the sacral chakra sits I've always been told that it was between the like pelvic bone and the belly button, but they're showing it kind of like right at the belly button or right above it. So I guess different interpretations, but definitely look into that, your sacral chakra. I find it so interesting that you got rest and build strength though, because I feel like those really contradict each other. And I feel like that's really like, it's about getting into more of a flow state with your life, about knowing when it's time to work out, to move your body, to pay attention to it, and when to actually rest and slow down. And that is ultimately a big form of self-care, is like not always being on all the time, knowing when to stop. And we also have for you just a few words at the end. We have strength. Don't let weeds and thistles cultivate in your garden. Relax. Oh my gosh. So we have rest and build strength, and then we have relax and strength. How funny. Relax. Delight in powdered gold sunshine. And then success. Bloom wherever you are planted. So ultimately, this is about cultivating more flow. I feel like in your life, maybe you have been, again, so focused on figuring yourself out, on doing self-work, or when death is reversed, it can also be a resistance to that work. So it can be that as well, that maybe you need to gain a little bit more support and open yourself up a little bit more to doing that work. But I really got the instance from that death reverse that there maybe had been too much of it going on. But ultimately, I feel like maybe you've been very go, 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 and there hasn't been enough self-compassion going on and enough of the like other side of that coin. So really, to me, your reading in terms of self-love, if I could like give you one overarching theme, it would be more about balance, balancing your friendships, your relationships with your time alone, balancing your spending with your saving, balancing building strength with resting, balancing, standing up for yourself, living your own life, being who you are, mixed with compassion for yourself and others. And then, don't forget about really getting into that sensual aspect of yourself. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I hope this was helpful. I hope it helped you give you some ideas on some self-care, what you could be building, could be working on. And please do not forget to follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I put out new pick of cards every single week. And if you feel called to do so, it is never an expectation, but always appreciated. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, and PayPal listed down below. I do accept tips for my readings, but again, I don't expect that from you. It's just always appreciated. Actually, this deck and this deck were purchased because of all of y'all, so thank you so much. And also this one too, technically. And I feel like there was one more thing. When you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much, and good luck on your self-care. Bye. Hello there, pile number 3. Welcome into your reading. So I do apologize. We're actually doing this reading on a white background today because these cards that I just got in are really hard to see. I don't know if I'll read with them in the future or not. You'll have to let me know how you feel about them. They were kind of an expensive deck, so I'm a little bit sad about it, but they're so beautiful. Like, they're so pretty. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what self-care you are needing in your life right now. So we have the Conqueror of Cups reversed. We have the Pillar reversed. We have the Hanged One reversed. And we also have the World reversed. Or no, I'm sorry. The Hanged One is upright. The World is also upright. My bad. Mercury retrograde got me like. Okay. So what this is saying to me right away is that, number one, with the Conqueror of Cups being reversed, this is kind of like the King of Cups being reversed. And when the King of Cups is reversed, it's like there's not enough heart going into our life. There's not enough. We're just kind of making like brash decisions, or we're not leading from a heart-filled space. We're leading our life from a place of maybe feeling a lot more hurt by life. And in doing so, we've kind of lost, it's like we've become jaded in a way because we've seen so much hurt in the world. We have now become jaded. And with the Pillar reverse, the Pillar is literally the card in this deck that talks about needing more self-care, like stopping to actually care for yourself because you've been working too much. You've been doing too much. So you needed this reading, pile number 3. It's like this, there's been too much going on, and you also feel like there's a lack of an ability to create life force in your life, to create more energy for yourself. And the only way to start doing that and reconnecting with it is to actually ground yourself, take a couple days out if you're able to, and get in some self-care. The Hanged One, this is about taking a break. So literally your cards are saying there's potentially a place where your heart isn't, you're not feeling like your heart is filled. So it's very hard for you to give to others or to be the person you want to show up as in your life. So take a break. And the World, this is also about closing chapters, big chapters of our life. And maybe you've had to work instead of taking stock and inventory of your life the way that you would like to. And you haven't had the time to mourn or grieve or do what, it doesn't have to be as big as losing someone, literally to death. But it could also be just mourning the loss of something in your life that has ended, mourning the loss of a relationship that you will never have, mourning the loss, something that, like I said, maybe isn't actually lost to death, but it's something that it's a past chapter of your life that keeps sitting with you because you haven't allowed yourself to mourn its loss and put it away. And So I feel like that's really the call to action here, is to ask yourself maybe what, and these could just be things that aren't serving you. This could be the way you talk to yourself. Like it could be something really like on a smaller scale or something on a really big scale. And please recognize when I say that, I'm not trying to say that like your problems are so small. It's that there's a micro and a macro level. There's what affects you specifically and things that affect other people. And so I feel like when we talk about like the micro stuff, this is very like individual, but I feel like because of that, it's bleeding out into how you're treating others, how you're talking to others, how you're thinking about others. So there is this need to close out something that is no longer serving. And this could be, like I said, something like talking to yourself a certain way. This could be addictive habits or things that we are addicted to. This could be letting go of a job, letting go of a relationship. And I don't even mean like just a romantic relationship. Like you could have struggled with a breakup, but this could also be maybe you don't have the mother figure you would like to have in your life or the father figure you would like to have in your life. And though those people are still living, you need to mourn the loss of the relationship that you may never receive in this lifetime. So things like that. So we also have for you the offering and venom. So this is honestly, it's interesting that I would say addiction, because venom to me is the card of addiction. This talks about things that don't serve us. So this could be addiction to substance. This could be addiction to food, to television. I actually talked about this a little bit, I want to say in pile number 2 as well. But the venom is like whatever is poisoning your life. So this could be just a thought process that continuously you think it about yourself or about others, and it's literally poisoning you and your relationships. Or it could be an actual substance. Like you don't want to deal with what's going on in your life because you're not able to bring in that life force. Everything feels dead on the inside. And so there is this dependency on feeling things through substance abuse. Now, I don't want to go too heavily into that. I know what it feels like in a family that struggles with substance abuse. I come from a family that wildly struggles. I shouldn't say wildly. That's not a good way to put that. But I come from a really large family, and a lot of people within that family struggle with substance abuse. So I know that how like sacred and how complex is the word I'm looking for that can be. And I'm not here to tell you that this is like how you should act about it or this is what you should do with it. Everybody's situation is going to be different and different levels of complex, and there's different kinds of complexities in it. So just maybe, this is kind of a call to pay attention to that. Pay attention to how your body reacts to certain things. Pay attention to how your body reacts when in the presence of other people, or how you speak to yourself. This is about putting those things down. And the offering card kind of goes hand in hand with venom, because offering is all about making a sacrifice and offering something to the greater good. So this could be letting go of those addictive habits, letting go of people that really bring you down. Even though you want to give them love and compassion and understanding, sometimes they're too far gone for you, and it's not your job to hold that mantle for everyone in your life. So just recognize that you may have to make some really hard sacrifices to get to that level of self-care and self-love. You might have to, the word like enabler is coming up for me. Like there might be some level of enabling that is happening right now. Granted, that's not going to be for everybody, but for some of you that are dealing with relationships that really are dragging you down, there is this sense of enabling. And you don't want to enable them to do these things. And I don't want you to think that it is your fault. Oftentimes we feel like it is our duty or our responsibility. And like I said, I know, like I come from a huge family that struggles really hard. We feel like we have to like bring those people up or save them. And ultimately it might be better just to kind of take a step back for yourself to breathe and know that their choices have more to do with them than they have to do with you. And Obviously, that's a very specific message, but if this is even just you, maybe the way you speak to yourself, that is what you sacrifice. That is what you let go of. If it's something that you inflict upon yourself, some kind of habit that is not healthy for you, it's sacrificing those small pleasures. I mean, for myself, I have definitely struggled with food throughout my early teenage years into adulthood. And it does feel like a sacrifice when you're used to food giving you some level of pleasure. Now, I can only speak from my own experience on that. I'm not a doctor. Please seek medical attention if you need to do so. Do not use what I am saying in place of that. But just take that from a human experience to another. With my own human experience with food, that is something that is a hard sacrifice for me, even to this day, even though I've worked on it so hard. It's a hard sacrifice for me because for a long time, food was the only pleasure that I had. So it's like sacrificing something to better care for yourself, basically. So we also have for you the Weaver. This is so interesting. And we have, actually, let me show this to you. These cards are so pretty. They're made by the same people that make these cards up here, which I will link everything down below for you. So we have the Weaver. And we also have the Wildling. Oh my gosh, these cards are both so freaking pretty. Okay, so the Weaver and the Wildling, let's talk about it. So the Weaver card is really, it's funny that I would say like, don't sacrifice yourself, basically, like cut off and make sacrifices for yourself. But the Weaver, it's actually like one of the most important cards in this deck, in both decks, I would say. I don't know if the Weaver is in this deck, but the decks are called Threads of Fate. And so the Weaver is actually a card that is based off of the title of the deck. And the Weaver is all about basically how every thread, we ourselves as like consciousness expressing itself, make up the fabric that is this universe. And so, ooh, I just got the chills. So when we think about all these little threads that we are, that also attach us to other people, we have the ability to sever threads whenever we feel that things don't serve us. So this could be cutting ties with a person, cutting ties with a habit, with something that we're doing. But it's about honestly releasing yourself and your spirit from things that bog you down. And the Wildling is honestly kind of about being a little bit more wild, being uncontrollable, being somebody that isn't afraid to be a little bit different, to go out there and do things differently. It's also about connecting with like your primal self. So getting in touch with your senses, really taking the time to taste food, taking the time to create beautiful things, taking the time to run outside if you're able to, taking the time to just really get in touch with our deepest primal instincts and just experience life away from the noise. So I feel like the noise would be like social media or things that are in our reality that really kind of take us away from our natural senses. And honestly, I've even given myself consideration of like backing down to a flip phone because I feel like we are just so overstimulated in this reality. We're so overstimulated, and I feel like that's a big call to self-care for you, is to get back to a very natural setting. I mean, shoot. To this day, I'll give you a crazy example. To this day, I haven't had a Facebook. I mean, technically I had like an admin Facebook that I've since shut down that I used to only do admin work out of. But I haven't had like a personal Facebook in several years, I don't think. I shut it down quite a long time ago. And to this day, I was so heavily addicted to Facebook when it like first came out that to this day, when I go to my search bar in like Google or something to look for something, I will start to type Facebook. Facebook is so heavily ingrained in me because I just was on it so continuously that I literally can't stop searching for it. And I haven't been able to break that tie yet. Interestingly enough, I also really like writing the word Facebook. Like this is so random, but when I practice like my own cursive, I really like writing in lowercase the word Facebook. I think it's like a fun word to write. And so I feel like that's also me like continuing to imprint it on my subconscious. But isn't that so funny that like I've been so overstimulated that even though I haven't had a personal Facebook in so many years, that I still to this day will try to reach for it, just like on autopilot. I don't even mean to do it. So I feel like that's like really getting away from like the overstimulating world and doing something for you. You know, if you're able to, go camping. Camping is a fantastic way to get back in touch with the primal instinct. Now we also have for you meditates. We have chanting, very interesting, and spend time with friends. So with meditate and chanting, this to me is a strong call to maybe do some breath work, to do like meditations where you just say the same phrase over and over, to do meditations where you are just chanting. There is like Sanskrit music that I know, I want to say Leor Alexandra talks about that, where you can actually like sing the chants in Sanskrit. And it's something that a lot of people will start their morning with. I've never personally done that, but it's just like chanting that is very like, I don't even remember what the words mean, but I want to say they're pretty powerful. But this is like a call to action to really get in touch with yourself. I mean, in every single image, we have women sitting in that like seated pose, in this pose of, I want to say this is called like the lotus pose. Don't quote me on that. I can't say it like that because I'm handicapped, so I forget what it's called. But this is like a call to that seated position in deep meditation. And so this is really a call to get back in touch with yourself. And this is a good way to also get in touch with that primal identity. And also when you're trying to listen to what you need without the venom in your life, when you're sacrificing things and you're putting yourself on pause to feel that life force again, meditation is like one of the fastest ways you're going to bring that back into your life. And then spend time with friends. I feel like you might be someone that needs to make some new friends. I don't know why Spirit is telling me that, but I don't want you to like cut the friends off that you have unless you feel like they're really toxic to you. But I'm hearing that it might be a good time to like expand and meet some new friends. It might be a good time to do so. Maybe just like do something virtually. I always recommend checking out Twitch. I've met some of like, honestly, the bulk of my friends, if they're not childhood friends, I have met all of my other friends online. And like, these are people that I've met in person, not recently, like quite a while ago, or will be meeting in person in the future. Like I have like friends that are so near and dear to me that I've only met online. So honestly, the internet space, I know some people are like really afraid of that, being like meeting people online, but take that again from one human experience to another. I have met some of the most like greatest people in my life because of the internet. So even though we're disconnecting, we're getting back in touch with ourselves. Like when it comes time to meet new friends, don't be afraid to connect somewhere new. So we also have for you these last three cards. We have listen, be alert to the soft chiming bells call to nearby fairies, wildflower, live an uncontrolled life free to grow anywhere and bound by nothing, and forgiveness, a crushed flower still gives off a sweet scent. Aww. So I feel like all of these cards really want you to reconnect with nature. They want you to listen more to yourself and to your own magic. And with Wildflower, I feel like this really goes in line with the Wildling card and the Weaver, in terms of living this uncontrolled life free to grow and be and do whatever you want to. And I feel like right now, this might feel very shackling, like the Venom, the World card, the reversed Pillar, the reversed Conqueror of Cups. You might feel really tied down by where you are right now. But the cards are saying, get back in touch with yourself and sever those ties that are pulling you down, whether it's people or substances or things or habits or thoughts. Sever those things and make room for new. And then forgiveness, I think this is ultimately about forgiving yourself for being in any of these kinds of situations, because it's not your fault. Most of the time we're in these situations because they are meant to teach us something, or we are meant to grow from the experience, not because we're meant to blame ourselves and shame ourselves forever. So I hope this reading reaches you well. I hope you will tap into that self-care. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. I put out new pick of cards every single week, as well as talk about spirituality and psychology. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm at Kloee Taylor. And if you feel called to do so, never an expectation. I do have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. I do accept tips for my readings. Because of all of you, we actually purchased this deck and this deck up here. Those are like brand new decks to us. And then technically this one too. So thank you so much to those of you that did that. These two decks were ones that were on my wish list for a very long time. So I was really excited to receive them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, never an expectation, but I am so grateful. And please do not forget, when you stand up in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. I love you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.